So, hi everyone, I'm Diane Danzebrink, I'm the menopause counsellor and I also founded Menopause Support, and I'm here today with the lovely Jane Lewis.
Hi.
Jane has written this amazing book, Me and My Menopausal Vagina, with her daughter Penny, just in time for World Menopause Day on the 18th of October. And the theme this year of World Menopause Day is sexual well-being. So absolutely perfect timing. Jane's book, I have been lucky enough to read this, and Jane's book is absolutely fabulous and is going to be helpful for so many people. So I'm going to let Jane introduce herself and tell you how she and I first met and how we come to be doing this video for you.
Hi, I'm Jane, I'm 52 and was a very quiet person. I'm actually quite a shy person, but I got to the point with vaginal atrophy that I thought enough was enough. Someone has to say what it's like, and I decided to. I met Diane last October on Channel 5 for the menopause extended version of the news. And I was on the panel, and the vaginal atrophy part only actually got roughly a minute.
Yeah, it was very short.
Yes, it actually affects more than 50% of women who are going to get it in some form or another. Yeah, 80-odd% they think is more like the number.
Yeah.
Yeah, only roughly 7% talk about it.
Yeah.
So I decided someone needs to do something about this. And then from meeting Diane there, because I was in a very low place mentally, it's had me on my knees almost to the point of feeling suicidal. I came here for counselling. I did a few weeks of counselling with Diane, and then one day, end of February, leaving to say goodbye on her doorstep, I said I want to talk to you next time I come because I'm going to write a book about vaginal atrophy.
And that's how we're here.
Yeah.
And this is the book, which I believe is published on the 28th of September.
We're ready for sale. It's having pre-order.
Okay.
From tomorrow.
Wow. Okay, so this is great timing. So Jane, how did you, I mean, you and I, obviously, you came along for your next session.
Yes.
We had a discussion about the book. Yeah. You said you'd like to write it.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, next time you come back, bring me the first chapter.
Yes.
You were a little bit horrified by that.
Yeah.
How did you set about actually the process of writing the book?
So you said to me you need a time scale, because if you don't give yourself a time scale, it could take forever.
Yep.
So we put a 6-month time scale on it.
We did.
And we've actually done it in 5 months.
We have, or you have.
I knew what I wanted from the off.
Yep.
It had to have humour. It had to be real, a real story from a real person, but I knew I physically couldn't write the words down.
Yeah.
So my middle daughter, who always wanted to write a book by the time she was 30.
Okay, so another goal.
Is 30 on this October.
Okay.
Not that she was going to write a book about her mother's vagina. But she has, and I think I am her mother, so I'm obviously biased, but I think she's done an amazing job. As the people who have reviewed it have said so also.
I would second that, she has. As a team, they have done an amazing job.
So it's got everything in there. It's got humour. It's got tears. It's got a lot of laughter. It pushes boundaries.
Yep.
It will
Definitely.
It will make you feel uncomfortable in places. And it's a little bit of a wake-up call, or it's a big wake-up call for the medical profession.
Yep.
To say, this is a real problem. And not being able to have sex, not being able to sit down, being sore, being burning is a huge problem.
Yeah.
And that's how the book was born.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. So how did, I believe that all the family have pretty much been involved in this process.
Yes.
How has that unfolded?
So I wrote it first. My Penny then did the physical writing. It was then edited by everyone in the family.
Right.
Time and time again, especially my son-in-law, George.
Yep.
Who there are no boundaries anymore. We discuss vulvas, vaginas, labia, clitorises, orgasms, you name it.
Using all the right words.
All the right words.
Excellent.
We do not have foofs and minis and down there's.
Fantastic.
Because down there's are your feet. And my other son-in-law in Australia was a bit uncomfortable and his eyes popped at the start, but now it is general talk around the whole family, because I have 3 daughters and a granddaughter, and we can't carry on this taboo into all the next generation.
Absolutely.
And that includes the men.
Absolutely.
The men are with the women.
Absolutely.
And we all have to know our body parts and know when there's a problem and be able to talk about it. It's the only part of the body that we don't talk about, yet a majority of children are birthed out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And, you know, as you and I have discussed in the past, for me, you know, sort of the saddest part of the work that I do as a counsellor is working with women and couples who are really struggling with relationships because this goes unspoken about.
Yeah, that's right. And people think it's a lack of libido. Libido and vaginal atrophy are two very different things. You can have no libido and you cannot be in pain. That is a separate thing. This book isn't about libido. No. You know, you can have as much libido as you want, but if your vulva, perineum and vagina are burning and splitting, to be told to use it or lose it is the worst thing you can be told to do. Because
exactly.
The pain, you just don't understand the pain unless you have it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
And so I was, I was really interested in the fact that obviously I have worked with you. I know, what's been going on for you. Why do you think that it's so important that we have a book like this from somebody who, because of her experience, has become a patient expert? Why do you think that that's so key?
There have been recently so many menopause books brought out by celebrities and all different people, and they all perhaps just touch on vaginal atrophy.
Right.
We've got lots of the medical profession. I can go and get a book and look up by medical professions consultants who have written it, but you need the lay person. I know what's in my head, because this just doesn't affect my vagina and my vulva. This really affects mine and other women's who suffer pain in whatever form in the genital area. It really affects our heads. And this book, I hope, will go a long way to explaining and saying to your doctor, your partner, your colleague, your friend, read this because that's what I'm going through. And I think that's what it's doing. It's opening up the conversation.
And you have certainly found a community of women who are experiencing this because you run private groups, don't you?
So that's right.
Secret groups, in fact, on Facebook.
Secret groups, because I wouldn't have the group a secret. I would have it so that anyone can find it. But because people are so, embarrassed, shy, the taboo of it all, the only way I can have these groups is to have it secret. And even within those secret groups, a lot of the ladies don't actually talk about the problem. They will message me privately, or they will just watch conversations going on, hoping that their problem will come up. So until we as women start talking about the problem, nothing will change. We can't expect the doctors to understand us and try and help us more if we are not prepared to get out there and talk and change ourselves.
Okay. So out of this process, what have you learnt about yourself?
Well, I am probably stronger than I realise, and I never in a million years, because I was probably, like a lot of these ladies who are now watching, a very private person, and I wouldn't casually be talking about my vagina and vulva, and I most definitely would not be doing a video now with you. But I'm also, it's a bit like Jekyll and Hyde. There's part of me saying, don't do this, don't do this. But the stronger side is saying, yes, you've got to do this. Because someone has to do it.
And that's exactly how I felt with menopause. Sort of 4 or 5 years ago when I started to talk about menopause, nobody was really talking about it. Now, thankfully, it's more. But I had that too. But I think the thing is, unless we do stand up and we do talk about these things, nothing's ever going to change.
No. So I hope this is the first. We know we have lots of cookbooks. We have lots of menopause books. So I'm hoping this will be the first a vaginal book, because the more we have, the more we'll be listened to.
Yeah, absolutely. Jane, if there was one message that you would... So I'm going to ask you for two. I'm going to ask you if there was one message that you would like to share with healthcare professionals. What would that be?
Listen to the women. We don't have hysteria. We don't need locking up. We don't need antidepressants. Yes, we are depressed because of the problem we have, but anyone who has had a constant burning vulva, vagina would be depressed. But to be just to be kind, to have compassion, that is 50% of helping.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And for any man, any woman who's watching this video, what would your key message to men and women watching this be?
If you don't suffer or don't know anyone that suffers, that's great, fantastic. But don't mock this video, because no one knows what the future brings. An awful lot of ladies in my group don't actually turn up until they're 60. They think they've got through menopause, fine, and then suddenly overnight they have these problems. So this could be, your mother, your friend, your sister, your aunt, anybody. So just listen. So
Jane, could you, before we wind up, for people who've never heard the term vaginal dryness, vaginal soreness, vaginal atrophy, could you just give a brief explanation of what it is and why it happens?
So basically, what slightly does irritate me is that when you see the list of menopausal problems, it says vaginal dryness. And that's fine. But if you imagine that your mouth was permanently dry, and with that getting dry, it gets sore and it gets cracked and you can't swallow. Then you put that into your vagina through the lack of estrogen, and it dries out. The vaginal walls become thinner, and for some women they can bleed, but you obviously always have to get that checked out. Don't assume. Never self-treat. You must always go to your GP before. That's where you start. But sex can become painful. The vaginal canal actually shortens. And it narrows at the entrance, and that's where they say use it or lose it. But when it's become so short and tight, and for myself, my old episiotomy scars from my babies were actually on the verge of splitting open. And everything and it can affect your bladder, because you get urinary tract infections because the bladder needs estrogen. So it has a whole myriad of problems. Burning, soreness, itching.
Okay. And very briefly. What's the management? What would a woman who was struggling? What could her first course of action be?
So your first course of action is you go to your GP. Do not over-treat from the counter, because there are other conditions that are very similar, such as vulvar cancer, lichen sclerosis, and all other things. But you would start off with a pH balance, as natural as possible lubricant. For some ladies that helps, and that's all they need. But for others like myself, I need to use local estrogen, which goes into the vagina.
From your doctor?
From my doctor, can only be got from the doctor. I also need to use a cream sometimes on the perineum, again from the doctor, a local estrogen that I rub into the old episiotomy scars. And for me, and not all women, but for me personally, I also need HRT. Equally, I haven't had one hot flush. It is all for the vaginal bladder, pelvic floor area, because the pelvic floor also gets affected through lack of estrogen.
And how important, Jane, is it to address these symptoms as soon as they become evident?
Personally, I think it's very important. And there are some specialists who believe that a vast majority of women over 40 should start using local estrogen. It's a bit like a water butt. If you keep it topped up, then it's not going to dry out. So you keep it topped up. But when it gets very bad, it can be harder to top up again, because it becomes so dry and sore that it then doesn't like the fillers in the local estrogen. So you get this vicious circle.
Okay, so essentially, with the right education, information, advice and support, we could be avoiding
or at least reducing
the struggle that a lot of women are having at the moment. Okay. So thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Thank you for being so open. Thank you for agreeing to do this with me. Thank you for writing it. I'm hugely proud of what Jane has achieved. It genuinely is a fantastic book. And as I say on the back, if you have a vagina, know or love somebody with a vagina, you need to read this book. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Diane. Yes, thank you.